Sorry for the inconvenience caused. Before that, we thought we'll do something impromptu. May I request Dr. Kamlesh Kunti and Dr. Peter Schatz to be on the stage. Now, we open this forum for questions for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Whatever questions the audience has to ask both these gentlemen anything about diabetes and what they think, whatever questions you have, I think both are here to share their wisdom with you. Yes. Please approach the mics which are placed there and you can ask any questions you want. Can we pass on some mics, please?
This is a moment now where you should ask a question. Otherwise, I would ask something to Kamlesh.
There's always one.
Sir, I also request Dr. V. Mohan to come onto the stage. Sir, and also Dr. Yajnik, sir, please come onto the stage. We'll want them to, sir.
Thank you for an excellent question, Professor Kamlesh. Identified a driver of condition. I want to know your thoughts. And if so, why aren't we addressing it?
So it's a great question, and I think this is a loaded question because of the new obesity consensus that's recently come out in the Lancet, as you all know. I don't quite agree with that definition that's been in the Lancet, because they ask for not only BMI, you need another measure, plus having other diseases or quality of life to consider that as a disease. And I think the issue there is at population level, we've got 50% or more people with this. It's going to be very difficult to assess all of those BMI, waist circumference, trying to see if they've got other diseases, unless we're screening for this, which doesn't happen in every country. In terms of whether it's a disease or not, I think obesity is a chronic condition which is linked to diseases that may appear. So if we manage the condition, we will have less diseases appearing in the longer term.
I actually would like to ask Kamlesh also a question, and provocative maybe. I have heard you at EASD, and you were talking about diabetes registry. If you would have a single shot, and only a single shot, for solving the diabetes challenges, would you say we need first a registry, need first free sensors, or we would need free GLP-1 medication?
GLP-1 medications are completely out. They're lower down in my priority because they won't manage everything. They are great. They do certain things really well, but they don't manage that whole person with diabetes. It all depends what you want. I mean, disease registries are good because then you can see how you're doing, compare yourselves, and then improvements over time. So I think disease registers are important. The other thing is that Simon's here. Simon's done work years back showing if you have a register and you have a call-recall system mechanism, this is what happens in many countries, and you can call these patients on a regular basis depending on their risk, then that leads to improved outcomes. But not every individual healthcare practitioner, in many countries, they don't have disease registries. So if they had that disease registry to track the person with diabetes or their patients and have a call-recall system, the evidence is that it does lead to better outcomes.
Yeah, Dr. Ram.
I'm Dr. Ram. Happy Valentine's Day to all. Sir, I just want to know, a few days back, one of my professors saying glycemic control is not at all important because they're saying 70% of your CGMS, okay, 30% you can do whatever you want. Is it a correct interpretation, or what is that? What will happen to that 30%? Will it?
Okay, I mean, Kamlesh has obviously passed on something tricky to me. Yes. So I think as a new technology comes, you want to devise some cut points. Personally, I am against cut points because they are a binary sort of fission. And therefore, we need something better than what we had before. And nothing is better than the best. So all this 30%, 21%, 29.9% is different than 31.1%. I don't agree. And again, you need better than what you were yesterday. And if you can be better tomorrow than today, I think that's what we want.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thanks. I'm Simon Griffin from Cambridge. So there's been a lot of talk and hope about the role of technology and having the diabetologist in your back pocket. The problem is that the behaviors that lead to diabetes are habitual, they're environmentally cued, and they're automatic. And they don't involve cognitive processing, even if you've got a phone in your back pocket. And they're driven by very powerful multinational corporations, only 10 of which make about 80% of the world's processed food. So what is the solution, or what does the IDF propose to do about the pharmaceutical, petrochemical, and food industry that's driving this epidemic?
Thank you very much for this question. And I'm 130% with you that how you describe the challenge. I would clearly say we should not fear this. I actually sometimes go a step ahead and say we are living in a toxic food environment and driven by all the multinationals you have described. I don't want to blame the multinationals, but they are a big part of the problem. But you mentioned the cognitive process. Why I'm so much in favor that digitalization and being in the pocket of the patient gives us an opportunity is the same as emotional level or implicit level, like the advertisement industry is using in changing or reframing our behavior. Because we behave, we have our daily behavior, and some big part is influenced by industry, but not all. So as I said it, if we have in the right moment, the right impulse, with the right motivational strategy, this may be the right information, but the information is the most little on it. Yeah? The motivational aspect is the driver. And we do this repeatedly. We use the same strategies like the advertisement industry is using, but we are one. We are on the pocket of the patient. And I think this can be a strength. There will be tons of false examples. Yeah? If you have 100 digital solutions, maybe only 5 of them at the end will survive because they had to adjust behavior. And I think this is the point where we are scientists. We have to find the right strategy for these 5 applications, how they can support the patient to empower him to improve his own self-management and to develop a kind of resistance to the multinational reframing influence. I don't want to say that they are all bad. Yeah? There are also is an increase of good examples coming from the industry. But if we are looking into the advertisement, I remember my daughter as she was 6 years old. She told me, "Papi, I must see this information on TV or information movies on TV." And this was advertisement. So we should use our brain, and I think our brains are better than the marketing brains from the industry, and develop tools in the pocket of the patient to support behavior in the right direction. It is not the solution, but maybe this is the way the IDF wants to go with global community to find the right solution.
Thank you. That's a complex question, and I think a given complex answer.
Just a quick one. I think technology is great for those people who have it. And for example, if you look at diabetes, 80% of people live in low-middle-income countries. They don't have access to simple medications like metformin, sulfonylureas. So technology is not going to help that population. Secondly, even if you've got technology, you have the cognitive ability to understand that information and have that behavior change, which is not always there. And thirdly, even if the behavior change solutions are given by the technology, the solution has to be affordable for that person. For example, food. You know, when someone's working 12-hour day, they haven't got time, they haven't got the funding to buy the wholesome foods, come home and cook it, because just time isn't there. So there's so many other layers that we need to think about. And it's really what we need to think about is trying to improve the wider social determinants rather than thinking of these fantastic drugs and technological advances.
Maybe I'm allowed to add one sentence. I would make a strong vote or pledge for the confidence of our patients. Yeah? I don't think that the patient decide that they want to live unhealthy. But the environment, as Kamlesh said, is often not like this. So if we find the right triggers and the right impulses, I think we can support our patients to intuitively move into a more healthy lifestyle. At the end, it's always lifestyle. And we have to find solutions that they're becoming cheap or that they are free of cost. And you asked the question regarding IDF. This would be a strategy for me to develop something what is freely accessible to reach education for patient at all levels.
Thank you, sir. And we conclude
Can I
this.
just say one
Yeah,
thing?
sir,
The
please.
best technology which is available to everyone is between the 2 years.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Kamlesh Kunti. Thank you, Dr. Yagnik, and thank you, Dr. Peter Schock, for keeping us occupied. Now we have the chief guest who has arrived, Dr. Jitendra Singh.
So it's a proud moment for Diabetes India to have Dr. Jitendra Singh with us and to grace this occasion. And I will request now our chief guest to come on the stage, and I will request President of Diabetes India, Dr. S.R. Arvind, to accompany Dr. Jitendra Singh. So Dr. Jitendra Singh is Minister of Science and Technology. He is with the in the Ministry of he is with the PM in the Ministry. And Jitendra Singh, sir, I would like to mention that when I was writing your description, I thought I will utilize the AI. And the first thing it said is Dr. Jitendra Singh is a distinguished physician. So I think you can all take pride in that AI is still recognizing him as a physician, not as a politician first. So welcome, Dr. Jitendra Singh. I will request Dr. Manoj Chawla to welcome Dr. Peter Swartz on the dais. So Dr. Peter is already on the dais, right? So now I will request Dr. Manoj Chawla to bring Dr. Shashank Joshi to bring, accompany Dr. Helena Teed on the dais as a guest of honor. Dr. Helena Teed is President of International Society of Endocrinology, and it is a great honor to have her in this inaugural ceremony. And Dr. Shashank Joshi is Scientific Chair and Program Chair for this Diabetes India meeting. Welcome, sir. Welcome, madam. I will request Dr. Manoj Chawla, who is the Organizing Secretary of the Diabetes India Congress, to welcome Dr. A.K. Azad Khan and accompany him on the dais. I will request Dr. Sanjeev Pathak also to join the dignitaries on the dais. Welcome, sir. So we can welcome all our dignitaries with a big round of applause. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, as you know, Diabetes India is one of the leading organizations in the field of diabetes, not only in India, but globally. And this conference has set new standards for Diabetes India with a whole diverse range of topics, diverse range of programs. And to have to talk more about this, we have esteemed guest with us. So without wasting too much time, I will request Dr. Manoj Chawla, who is the, first we will go with the Ganesh Vandana. So can I ask the team to play the Ganesh Vandana?
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय
निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
So now I request Dr. Manoj Chawla, Organizing Chairman of the World Congress of Diabetes in association with Diabetes Asia Study Group, to welcome everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start the inauguration by welcoming and felicitating our dignitaries on the stage. May I request Professor Dr. Anuj Maheshwari to felicitate our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh, the Minister of Science and Technology, Government of India. Dr. Maheshwari. Dr. Anuj Maheshwari is the President-elect for RSSDI and the Governor of American College of Physicians India chapter. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Jitendra Singh, for accepting our invite. May I now request Dr. B.M. Makkar to felicitate our guest of honor, Dr. Peter Schwartz, President of International Diabetes Federation. Dr. B.M. Makkar has been the past President of the RSSDI and an advisor and well-wisher for Diabetes India. Many thanks to Professor Peter Schwartz for being here amongst us and continuing to inspire towards better diabetes care. Thank you. May I now request Dr. Sanjay Kalra. We have Dr. Sanjay Kalra here. Right, so may I request Dr. Sanjay Kalra to welcome and felicitate our guest of honor, Dr. Helena Tede, who is the President of International Society of Endocrinology. Dr. Sanjay Kalra, a senior endocrinologist from India and past President of Endocrine Society of India, welcomes Dr. Helena for Diabetes India and Diabetes Asia Study Group 2025. Thank you. May I now request Dr. Abhay Sahu, the Organizing Secretary for Diabetes India 2024, which all of you enjoyed at Bhubaneswar, Orissa last year, Dr. Abhay Sahu, to welcome and felicitate our special invitee and guest, Professor A.K. Azad Khan, for Diabetes India 2025. Dr. A.K. Azad Khan is the chair of International Diabetes Federation, Southeast Asia. Thank you, Dr. Khan, for being amongst us. Thank you, Abhay. May I now request Dr. Sunil Gupta to welcome and felicitate the President of Diabetes India, Dr. S.R. Arvind. Dr. Sunil Gupta, a senior diabetologist and metabolic physician from the city of Nagpur, with multiple positions held in different diabetes bodies and a well-wisher and advisor for Diabetes India. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. May I now invite Dr. Bhavna Sosale to welcome and felicitate Dr. Shashank Joshi. Bhavna is a diabetologist from Bengaluru and part of the Diacon Hospital, and of course an integral part of Diabetes India as well. Dr. Bhavna, to felicitate and welcome Professor Dr. Shashank Joshi. who's been the past chair of IDF Southeast Asia and the scientific chair for this meeting and an advisor for Diabetes India. May I now invite Dr. Pratap Jethwani. Dr. Pratap Jethwani to welcome and felicitate Dr. Banshi Sabu, who of course needs no introduction to this gathering. The man, the force behind Diabetes India, the Secretary of Diabetes India, with the kind of hats that he wears will be difficult to complete within the inauguration times. Banshi, thank you for everything and thank you for inspiring all of us to continue to work with you. Thank you. Thank you, Pratap. May I now invite Dr. Purvi Chawla to welcome and felicitate our organizing secretary for Diabetes India 2025 along with DASG, Dr. Sanjeev Phatak. Dr. Sanjeev Phatak is a senior diabetologist from the city of Ahmedabad. Purvi is a diabetologist and director of clinical research at the Leena Diabetes Center, Mumbai. Thank you. Thank you, Purvi. Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev.
And myself and Dr. Sanjay Reddy will take pleasure of welcoming Dr. Manoj Chawla as well, who is the organizing secretary of the meeting, organizing chair of the meeting.
So friends, that gets me to the official welcome address for today's meeting. Our chief guest, Honorable Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, our guests of honor, Dr. Peter Schwartz, President IDF, Dr. Helena Tede, President of International Society of Endocrinology, Dr. Banshi Sabu, Dr. S.R. Arvind, President Diabetes India, Professor Shashank Joshi, Dr. A.K. Azad Khan, Dr. Sanjeev Pathak, Dr. Sanjay Reddy and Dr. Amit Gupta. On behalf of the entire organizing committee of Diabetes India, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Diabetes India 2025. And you can see the mega event that this has started yesterday and continues to enthrall us with much more to offer over the next 3 days. So it's both an honor and privilege to stand before you today as the organizing chairperson for this Global Congress on Diabetes here in the vibrant city of Ahmedabad. On behalf of the organizing committee, I do extend a warm welcome to all of you who have traveled from across the globe to be part of this monumental event. And at this point, let me hear a show of hands for everyone, all of you who are here. And truly a global event with many of you having traveled for over 24 hours to join us. I'm sure all of you agree that diabetes is no longer just a health challenge, but it's a global crisis. With over 500 million people worldwide that transcend borders, cultures, and economies, these numbers continue to be staggering. But behind every statistic, sir, is a human story. A life impacted, a family affected, and a community burdened. This Congress is not just about sharing knowledge, but about shaping the future of diabetes care and prevention. Over the next 3 days, you will hear from some of the brightest minds in the field, researchers, clinicians, policy makers, and innovators. Together, we shall explore groundbreaking research, discuss innovative treatments, and strategize on how to tackle the growing epidemic of diabetes. From advancements in technology like AI and wearable devices to the role of lifestyle interventions and public health policies, this Congress aims to provide a holistic perspective on diabetes management. Well, Ahmedabad, a city known for its rich heritage and culture, is also a hub of innovation and progress. And hence it is befitting that we gather here to address a challenge that requires both tradition and innovation. Let us draw inspiration from this city's spirit of resilience and collaboration as we work towards our shared goal, a world where diabetes no longer poses a threat to the human community. I urge each of you to actively participate, engage in discussions, and forge collaborations that extend beyond this Congress. The fight against diabetes is not one that we can win alone, but it requires a united effort, a global movement. Let us leave here not just with new knowledge, but with a renewed commitment to action. So thank you for being a part of this journey. Together, let us all make a difference. Thank you and welcome once again.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj Chawla, for a warm welcome to everyone. Scientific program is the backbone of any meeting, and World Congress of Diabetes, along with Diabetes Asia Study Group, has put up a wonderful program. I would like to welcome Dr. Shashank Joshi to come and talk about the program and give you a brief overview of the scientific program. So welcome, Dr. Shashank.
Brothers and sisters, at the onset, Professor Jitendra Singh, we know him as a professor of diabetes, a researcher in diabetes and pregnancy, good friend of ours who now moved from practicing of clinical medicine and diabetology to, government affairs, and he's leading the country, the Chandrayaan, in the space mission, the science and technology mission. And sir, thank you so much that despite of your extraordinarily busy schedule, handling 8 ministries, including DOPT, you found always time for all of us. So thank you so much for always being there for us. We have a unique German from Dresden, Professor Peter Schwartz. I call him as a digital encyclopedia of diabetes. And he's everywhere. Whether 2 days back he was with the President of Mauritius, 3 days back he was in Madagascar, 5 days back he was in South Africa. And thank you so much for blessing India consistently and for having the patronage of International Diabetes Federation. Thank you for being here. We have Professor Helena Ted. I knew her as the president of the International PCOS Society. Now she's the president of the International Endocrine Society. And she's from Australia. Thank you, ma'am, so much for coming and being there with us. We have Professor A.K. Azad Khan from Bangladesh. And he's a true missionary. He used different techniques, including we know that the Friday Azan he used for communicating diabetes prevention messages. He got diabetes in United Nations, moved many global missions on diabetes, very passionate. Professor Azad Khan, thank you so much for being here for us. Always there supporting this. And the mission of Diabetes India is led very ably by Dr. S.R. Aravind, who is a great guy, and most ably supported by my younger brother, Dr. Bansi Sabu. We all know him, and I'm sure that he will have his flute soon. And he is the Karta Dharta of this program. We are all here because of him. So put your hands together for him. Then, of course, our team is ably supported by Dr. Manoj, Dr. Sanjeev, Dr. Sanjay Reddy, Dr. Amit Gupta, and all of us. We are all here with a mission to listen, learn, and adapt. So that we are here so that we can help people living with diabetes, people living with pre-diabetes, and everyone on planet Earth so that they can have a better life with diabetes. We can have better care. We can have a complication-free world with diabetes. We can have a diabetes-free world. We had multiple missions from Diabetes India, which I'm sure Bansi and Arvind will elaborate, with our past president of India, Pranab Da, as well as our current president, where we have a mission of a diabetes-free world. And we are in one world. And I think the Diabetic Asia Study Group has partnered from 33 countries now, and we have 33 countries represented here. It's truly a global congress, ensuring that the vision of Dr. Sadikot is met with. And in this program, we have tried to be as inclusive as possible. We have been very mindful of diversity. We have been very mindful of gender. And we have been very, very mindful to see that each and every one can be a very active participant in this meeting. Because meeting is just not about education, but it's about exchange of ideas. It's about research with a single mission so that we can make lives of people living with diabetes and all other diseases associated around it, that we can have better lives and happier lives. And I think that's something which is unique And one of the crystallized products of this is, of course, the 16 study groups which met yesterday. On focus groups, they have been discussing throughout the years, doing webinars, hybrid meetings, physical meetings, so that some theme-based, issue-based suggestions come and concept papers are written. Then, of course, we have a very unique Ahmedabad declaration which will be unveiled and which will be in public domain on the Journal of Diabetes India, which is very ably edited by Dr. Anup Mishra. And it will be in public domain. It's called Ahmedabad Declaration. I'm sure Bansi will give you a little glimpse of that. We have many compendiums which will be released here, including Bansi's compendium, a diabetes update book, and many others which will be released. But these are all the crystallized outputs. And of course, the Sadiko's textbook of diabetes, very ably edited by Padma Shri Dr. Kamalaka Tripathi sir and Bansi. So we really are here to learn. And I hope that it's a very packed program. It's all captured on the digital platform. So if you missed any lecture, it will all be available on the Diabetes India website. The Diabetes India has a clear mission: available, affordable, accessible. The 3 A's, if you see, and we can all do it. If you see the circle of Diabetes India, we are all here for those 3 A's: available, affordable, and accessible. And that's what we are here for. And we are all committed to, as very proud Indians, the mission of our Honorable Prime Minister, that we should not be the world's largest country in population or in diabetes, but we should be the diabetes care capital of the world. And that's really the mission which we have. And Diabetes India is supporting that mission. And we are here for his vision here. And we are all here to learn. So I'm certain that whatever pearls of wisdom you learn from domain experts from all over the world will ensure that you are able to take care of people living with diabetes better. We also have a very active participation from people living with type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, people living with obesity. We are very mindful of ensuring that we do nothing without their active participation. They are a very, very integral part of this community, and we recognize that and we ensure that they will be active participants, and they are very much a part of the program, so that their life experiences will actually make us richer in wisdom and do better research so that we can make their lives better. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope you learn better. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Shashank Joshi. A round of applause for all the effort he puts in to get this program together. Thank you, sir. May I now call upon Professor S.R. Arvind to come here and give his presidential address. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Government of India, Dr. Jitendra Singh, been part of the RSSDI and Diabetes India for a number of years. Guest of honor, Dr. Peter Shorts, President of the International Diabetic Federation, Dr. Helen T., the President of International Society for Endocrinology. Special invitees on and off the dais. Today I stand before you with immense pride as the President of Diabetes India. The moment is not just a personal milestone, but it's a collective commitment on behalf of Diabetes India, which has a lot of work to still do. In the morning lecture, we did mention about approximately 1 in every 6 person in the world is an Indian. We also discussed about diabetes affecting 101 million individuals in India as per the latest ICMR study. And we also realized that 12% of our population have diabetes and 15% of our population has diabetes. Clearly, this is a data that we are not proud of. It's a pressing health challenge, and that requires our immediate attention and concerted effort. Now, each of these statistics, as Dr. Manoj in his welcome speech said, it represents a person. It can be a friend, it can be a family member, it can be even your neighbor. And they all deserve our support and understanding. As we gather today, let's remember that our mission goes beyond mere management of the disease. It's about empowerment, education, and creating a supportive ecosystem that fosters awareness and encourages prevention. We must come together to do this. It can't be just one organization. Diabetes India as an organization need to focus on three key areas: enhancing public awareness, promoting affordable diabetes care, and fostering research and innovation, especially coming out of India. We have to work to initiate community programs that educate not only those living with diabetes but also the people around them, creating an awareness and information to the society. We aim to collaborate with healthcare professionals, governmental bodies, and organizations to ensure that diabetes care and management resources are accessible to every individual, regardless of their background and location. Every person affected by diabetes should feel supported and empowered, not just on the medical front, but emotionally and socially is very, very important. Let's seize this opportunity to build a future where diabetes does not define our lives, but rather strengthen our resolve to bring about the change. Together, we can make a difference, advocate for better policies, and inspire each other on this particular journey. Thank you all for your support. We look forward to working with each one of you as we embark on this important mission. Thank you so very much, and let's have a very successful conference for the next 3 days.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Dr. Bansi Sabu, our secretary, who has nuclear energy, as what people call. I heard it in the morning. A big round of applause to give his secretary report. At the outset, I also want to remember Dr. Shaukat Sadikot, who's responsible for all of us being here and who's been the founder of Diabetes India. Over to Dr. Bansi.
Namaste, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, our dear friends, partners from industry, persons from media, all seniors, my teachers, and all my colleagues. It is with immense pleasure and pride that I started before you today the 15th World Congress of Diabetes India 2025, along with Diabetes Asia Study Group. We call it World Congress of Diabetes India. Here in the vibrant city of Ahmedabad, on behalf of Diabetes India, I extend heartfelt welcome to each one of you. Since its inception, the late Dr. Shaukat Sadikot, Diabetes India has been in its mission to advance diabetes care both nationally and internationally. Our organization has evolved into a global community committed to improve the lives of individuals affected by diabetes through cutting-edge research, innovative treatment, and comprehensive care. It's my privilege to present this year's Secretary Report to Diabetes India, this audience. This has been a year of immense progress, global collaboration, impactful research, and all of which reaffirm our commitment to fight for diabetes. But before I start, I will honor the memories of two remarkable individuals. With profound sorrow, we extend our deepest condolence on the passing of Dr. Shobha, the wife of our esteemed President, Dr. S.R. Arvind. We stand by him and his family in this difficult time. Additionally, we remember our President, Dr. Akhtar Hussain, President of International Diabetic Federation, whose contribution to global diabetes care were immensely he contributed, and a virtual prayer meet was held on 4th of July to pay tribute to his legacy. So we remember both of them. There are a lot of landmark events, but last year Diabetes India 2024 was one of them, which we have done in Bhubaneswar under Dr. Jayant Panda and Dr. Abhay Shah. The conference was with huge success, bringing together national and international diabetes experts from all over the world. A lot of scientific collaboration which we have, and our collaboration with ESD, European Association of Study of Diabetes, and we do a regular symposia of ESD in our conference, and we are first one from India to have a dedicated symposia last year of Diabetes India Symposia and ESD. We have our collaboration with Diabetes Asia Study Group. We have our collaboration with International Hypoglycemia Group. We have done an online program with them. We have International Association of Atherosclerosis. We are working with them. We have with South Asian Health Foundation. Dr. Wasim is here. Thank you for that association. We have with AASD, we have with WCPD, World Congress of Prevention of Diabetes, and just before time we have done that meeting at Mumbai. We have collaboration with our controversies in diabetes, and that's what meeting we are going to do, and next year what's our international collaboration we have. We have our journal, which is an impressive site score of 22.9, placing it at 97th percentile globally, and it's now ranked 6th worldwide in diabetes, endocrinology and metabolism, and internal medicine. A huge congratulations to Dr. Anup Mishra and myself as a managing director too. The academic publication of Diabetes India. Our commitment of advancing diabetes knowledge is reflected several high-impact publications. Sadikot International Textbook of Diabetes, our editor-in-chief, Dr. Kamlakar Tripathi, right here. We have this year yearbook of 2025, and I would like to request Dr. Sujoy to come here. We inaugurate our book of 2025, a yearbook of 2025. This is the only association who is doing every year. I'm thanking Sujoy and his department to bring out this yearbook. All those throughout the year, all important publication which happen in diabetes field, he comes out with a yearbook of 2025. So I request our chief guest and other guest of honor to inaugurate that book of Diabetes 2025. I will also request, we have Diabetes India update. All those contributors who have are giving talk here and they have sent their article. I will request Diabetes India update book also to get released. So I will request Dr. Jayant Panda and Jyoti Dev. They are right there. They come on the stage and bring the book of, please bring the book of Diabetes India update. Dr. Jayant and Dr. Jyoti, please get the book and release that book also. We have one more book which we have done with controversies in diabetes, 25 controversies in 2025. I will request Dr. Durvi, executive editor, along with Dr. Vipul to come on the stage. If Rutul is also there, please come Rutul. The Ahmedabad team who had contributed for this book, Controversies in Diabetes in 2025, 25 controversies in diabetes. So all the books to be released here. We have conducted sessions with ADA, we have conducted session with ESD, we have done a dedicated diabetes and mental health webinar, a global diabetic foot webinar which we have done where we invited the doctors from all over the world and the doctors who were experts from Tanzania, Dr. Abbas, Dr. Vijay Vishwanathan was there, Dr. Kaushik Ramaya. Thanks to USP for supporting this event, and we could get thousands of doctors from all across the country. There are awareness and advocacy initiatives. We launched the Youth Step in Speak Out campaign for World No Tobacco Day, advocating tobacco-free lifestyle among young people. We have also scheduled an early detection of type 2 diabetes webinar on January with Dr. Jhera and Dr. Dominica Poland. This year we are going to have an annual program where mass detection, because CKD is a very major challenge, and I would request Mr. Kedar, and this is an annual program which we are going to have, launching a CKD screening across the country with the support of Bayer. I will request Dr. Shashank and Dr. Manoj Chawla to inaugurate this program. That's what we are going to do for this year. Our other international engagements was there. We were having Diabetes India ATTD session. This is the only association again at an international level with ATTD. We do a Diabetes India ATTD session. Ask sir to inaugurate. This is our national launch. Our NCD Alliance partnership. We are the one who was part of NCD Alliance along with International Diabetic Federation as a partner for NCD Alliance. We have now supported 16 different special interest groups focusing on different aspects of diabetes care and research. Our D-Genius wing continues to lead efforts in diabetes education. If D-Genius, Rutul is there, if someone is there who can come with the D-Genius and give the pin to sir. The D-Genius group had led really efforts in diabetic education and scientific advancement. The Young Diabetologist group. This has been extraordinary year for Diabetes India, marked with scientific breakthrough, impactful conferences and strategic global collaboration. I will request now for the audiovisual team that just now we made our article, which is an Ahmedabad declaration online in our journal, which is Diabetes and Metabolic Syndrome. So I just want that article to be online. So just D-Genius, have one photograph with sir and come and give D-Genius pin to sir and all guests who are here, please. The Young Diabetologist group can get one photograph. Be quick. You should be young. Otherwise, you will be removed from a young group. So simple, you know. So if you are not fast, we will be removed from that. Can the audiovisual team, excuse me, the audiovisual team for our article, Ahmedabad Declaration. So first the JPG of that. No, not video, JPG. Okay, fine. So it's a great pleasure that we are having a Ahmedabad declaration, and this is an article which is written by Dr. Rakesh Parikh and with the team, and it was hugely supported by Dr. Anup Mishra and all the experts who are sitting here, many of our national experts. I can remember Dr. V. Mohan, his support, and then Dr. Abdul Bashir, who is from Pakistan, who is currently president, and then the people from Peter Schwartz, Dr. Ketan, Dr. Kamlesh Kunti, Dr. Sunil Gupta, Manoj Chawla, Amit, Shashank, Sanjeev, Sanjay Kalra, Ajad Khan and V. Mohan sir. So this is an article and we have just made online just today. Can I have the video of this? And please give this paper of Ahmedabad Declaration, Dr. S.R. Arvind to our President sir. And can you start that video of that Ahmedabad Declaration? With this, we express our sincere gratitude to our members, our partners, our fellows, our collaborators who have played a vital role in achieving these milestones. And our biggest collaborators are all industry partners. They have really helped me a lot in each and every effort which we are doing for that. Together we are shaping the future of diabetes care in India and beyond. Thank you, Jai Hind. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Bansi Sabu, for a very comprehensive secretary report. Before I invite Dr. Ajad Khan, we have video message from Dr. Abdul Basit, who is the president of DASG. He could not come to this meeting because of some technical issues. So I request the AV team to play the video of Dr. Abdul Basit.
Foundation, our foundation, diabetes, diabetes, gives me immense pleasure as president of Diabetes in Asia Study Group to welcome you all for this very important and enormous landmark of Diabetes in Asia Study Group. This group started around 2 decades ago. Credit goes to late Professor Abdul Samashera from Pakistan, Professor Mursi Arab from Egypt, Dr. Arun Bakshi from UK, Durba Singh and Madhur Bakir Bhattarai from Nepal, Adil Al-Sayyed from Egypt, Mohan from India, Mahim bin Surya from Sri Lanka. This group gathered to propose diabetes in Asia study. The concept was to help people with diabetes, millions of them living in Asia, the hub of diabetes, prioritize strategies for research, capacity building, access to care, advocacy in this region, which is having such a large and enormous burden of diabetes, majorly in low middle income countries. I am very proud to be part of this group has gradually developed this large magnitude that today Diabetes in Asia Study Group is having in collaboration with Diabetes in Asia, this massive event, having national and international faculty of highly esteemed organization. I am very certain in the next 2 days that because of the deliberations, this rich faculty, there will be lots to learn and share for this important group of diabetes. I am finally very, very grateful to all, especially to colleagues of Diabetes India, especially to ESD and IDF and SAHF, especially to my core group of Dr. Banshi Sahu, Vishwajit from Bangladesh, Seema from Jordan, Ashraf from Qatar, and we are proud to have such a team with which one would like to work for ages. Thank you all for your attention. Wish you a very successful.
That was a message from Dr. Abdul Basit. Now, may I invite Dr. Peter Schwartz, President IDF, to come and address the gathering.
Thank you very much. Being asked to address for a few minutes all of you here is always a challenge, because if you are talking what can be unique or what is new. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Jitendra Singh for being here again. I sometimes use your example and say, this is the diabetologist, the only diabetologist in the world who has his own space program. So thank you very much for being one of the most technology advanced frontier as diabetologist in the world. But I was asking a colleague, what should I say if I'm here in front? And said, let your heart talk. And you know that I'm very passionate about diabetes care. You know that I'm very passionate in building a coalition of people who are at the end committed to improve the quality of diabetes care. And if we remember the last 5 minutes here, we were standing here in front. We had 3 different books. A yearbook about Diabetes 25 made by Diabetes India and all the colleagues here in India, assessing the current state of the art in diabetes care. This is the key for whatever we are doing, to remember back what is the knowledge, what is the evidence we can trust if we treat our patients. But there was also the opening of a new strategy, measuring microalbuminuria for people living with diabetes all over India. This means applying what we have read in the textbook into the translation in the last mile of diabetes care. So this means translating the evidence into adequate diabetes care. But not only this, there was another book about controversies in diabetes care. And this shapes the development. This shapes the creativity in driving the field forward. And this is what is the essence of thinking out of the box in improving the quality of diabetes care we can do. And I want to apologize to Dr. Jitendra Singh again for using him as a kind of picture for what we should do in the future. We need politics. We sometimes criticize politics, they don't do this and this and this. We should sit together on one table and discuss the needs from all sides and together think about how we can build a framework in establishing an environment where we can translate the best evidence of diabetes care into practice. And Dr. Shashank Joshi already mentioned, I had the chance a few days ago to meet with the president of Mauritius, and there was a lot of passion in the political environment to say, we know, we understand that diabetes is a big burden, and we use our political power to roll out a diabetes prevention and diabetes remission program. The politics is one. The next is technology. So we have a diabetologist who is also Minister of Science and Technology, and we had D-Genius just on the stage. What means D-Genius? Being the diabetes genius, translating technology innovation into improved diabetes care. And where is the country of technological innovation? It's here in India. It's not the United States, it's not Europe, it is India. And I would like to give a very warm thank you very much to all the innovation coming from here. All the innovation coming from you as colleagues from Diabetes India. Doctors AI is a role model, a success story for me, how to use and translate artificial intelligence into improved care of people living with diabetes. But the third thing we need our professional heart. And that's why, again, Dr. Jitendra Singh, he is a diabetologist. He combines politics, technology, and medical science into one person. At the end, we touch the life of our patient. And touching the life not only means glucose or A1C or insulin resistance and so on, we are touching the life of our patient. Remember, it was Dr. Mohan telling me yesterday a story which touched my heart. A family where the first daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, then the second daughter, and they committed family suicide because they couldn't cope with the burden of the disease. As long as these examples exist, we have not fulfilled our task. But it shows us in a country, in an environment where optimal diabetes care is possible, still the burden of the disease can lead a family to go this way. And this means for me, whatever we are doing, if we are talking with our patient, if we are maybe criticizing behavior, if we are motivating, we are touching the life of our patient. And I think we always should remember that we have this role, that we are not treating glucose, that we are not treating A1C or blood pressure. We are touching the life of our patient. And if we remember this, and if we translate this into an honest, I would say emotional-driven lifestyle intervention and prevention, then I think finally cooperating as a community of people who are passionate to improve the quality of diabetes care, we will be successful to improve the quality of care. And I thank you very warmly for your commitment, your input, your passion, and your action.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Scholz. May I now call upon Dr. Helena Tede, President of International Society of Endocrinology, to speak for a few minutes.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege, and it's very easy for me to come from Australia to India, much easier than going to Europe or North America. And I'd like to thank the organising committee for inviting me to come. Just to say a few quick words, the International Society of Endocrinology has a very strong membership and partnership across Asia. I often have to remind my colleagues from North America and from Europe that 60% of the world lives in Asia. And we've already heard today that 1 in 6 people around the world are from India. India and your surrounding countries are very strong in our partnership. In terms of the world region, though, you also have a very strong burden of disease, and that includes diabetes, and I applaud your aspirations to become the diabetes care capital of the world. I'll come back to giving you a challenge to think about on that at the end. It's fantastic to see the maturity of research in India, and I personally have had the privilege of working with many in the audience here and across India in large-scale clinical trials, and to see the improvement of research and the advancement of your journals, and indeed the calibre of what's coming out of this country in terms of research. Also your technology. Undoubtedly, the rest of the world is very aware of advances that India is making in technology across the field. It's fantastic to see also the statements that are coming out, and it was fantastic today to see that was focusing, the Ahmedabad statement is focusing on diabetes and youth. And one thing I'd like to just bring back to bear is that diabetes and obesity have very significant overlays with a range of other endocrine conditions. I myself am primarily focused on polycystic ovary syndrome, which we are in the process of renaming, by the way, and it will no longer be called PCOS shortly. But in the process of doing that, it is very clear that that condition, which is very common in your country, also has significant overlay with obesity and with diabetes. And along with that, we're seeing the emergence of rapid increases in type 2 diabetes in those populations in the youth of today. So what that's leading to is a new epidemic, an epidemic of diabetes and obesity in reproductive age women before and during pregnancy. What that is now creating is a new generation of offspring that are essentially exposed to glucose in utero and to other metabolic and hormonal changes, which will leave a legacy for many generations to come that we have almost certainly not appreciated. So in that context, I applaud the focus of the Ahmedabad statement on youth, and I would also like to echo the thoughts of my colleague from Cambridge earlier, that whilst we can continue to aim for excellence one-on-one with our patients, we will never stop the scourge that is the doubling of prevalence of diabetes and the poisoning of the next generation if we do not look to take a responsibility for global public health, if we do not look at affecting global supply chains. Public Health 101 has always been built on 3 key premises. You educate the educated who have the money and the education to look after themselves. You assist, support and incentivise those who are capable of changing, and you regulate for those who are not, who cannot afford it or who are not capable of making those changes. So lifestyle is important, but our current generation has not failed in terms of personal behaviour compared to what we had 2 generations ago. Obesity is a disease of our time. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes is a disease of our time. One-on-one is fantastic, but I would really implore you to think about what your society and your country can also do to contribute to that public health agenda, because otherwise I'm sure we will lose this battle. Thank you very much, and we do greatly appreciate working with you.
Thank you, Dr. Helena. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Partha Kar, who is a well-known name in the field of diabetes, not only in UK but in India as well. Dr. Partha Kar, and he's going to give a brief update about his project and work in type 1 diabetes and his association with Diabetes India. Partha.
Thank you, Amit. I'm not going to spend too much time because there's some fantastic delegates. So I'm trying to help with type 1 diabetes, but the reason I'm on stage is to acknowledge the support we have received throughout from all individuals across this country, especially organizations like Diabetes India. A lot of them are on stage. Banshi Sabu, Shashank Joshi, all of the work you've done is absolutely fabulous. And of course, not forgetting Manoj or Amit or Dr. Sujoy Ghosh in front. But I think I wanted to say 2 things to everybody, is that we're having lots of discussions about diabetes, India. I'll say 2 things. One is India is a country which can put a rocket on the moon. India can also, in that case, provide diabetes of the world-class standard where everybody gets good care. That's number 1. And I think that has to be the ambition. And secondly, it's Valentine's Day. That's why you're all wearing red. I've got my red glasses. So I think I obviously work with the type 1 diabetes community a lot. And some of them are here in the audience. And on behalf of everybody with type 1 diabetes, I just wanted to say one thing, because we are making some really good progress around type 1 diabetes with work from the government. And it's been really helpful, all the work that's been put in. But I think I'll probably summarize very simply one thing, since it's Valentine's Day. So roses are red, violets are blue. A cure would be nice, till then support will do. So that's all you need. So I would encourage everybody to think like that way. And as I said, I'm very grateful for all the love and support. I've spent 27 years in the UK, but born and brought up in India. So it's lovely to be able to give something back, as they say, Fir bhi dil hai Hindustani. Thank you.
Thank you, Partha. Now I would request all the dignitaries, our chief guest, guest of honor, to come and formally inaugurate this meeting with lamp lighting.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषचार्यापहा.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all dignitaries on the dais, for lighting the lamp and inaugurating the ceremony. Now may I now call upon Dr. Jitendra Singh Rana, who's an endocrinologist, politician, and serving as the 18th Minister of Science and Technology and Minister of Earth Sciences since 2024. From the Prime Minister office, he's also the Personal Public Grievances and Pensions Department of Atomic Energy and Department of Science. He was elected to the 18th Lok Sabha from Udhampur in the last general elections. An endocrinologist and our dear chief guest for today's function. May I now request Dr. Jitendra Singh to give his chief guest address. He did his MBBS from Stanley Medical College in Chennai, speaks fluent Tamil. I saw him speaking a couple of times, and then did his medicine from Government Medical College, Jammu. Over to you, sir.
President of the Indian Diabetes, President of the International Diabetes Federation, Dr. Peter Rods, Dr. Helena, our distinguished colleagues on the stage, Dr. Sheshank, Dr. Arvind, Tag, Manoj, of course, Banshi Sabu, who brings all of us together this afternoon. And I can see some of the very distinguished colleagues, friends, seniors sitting in the audience. We have Professor Ashok Das, Dr. Yagnik, Professor Bajaj for a long while. Of course, Professor Mohan, Arvind, Tripathi, Anuj, Makkad, Sunil, and all the other members of the fraternity. So at the outset, I think I have to thank Banshi for making me a part of this. And I think this is the third time in the month that I am in Ahmedabad. What I'm trying to say is that very much like Gujarat, Sabu has also gone into the auto mode. So whenever we have events, because I've been here thrice in this month for different kind of events. There was this, I think last time it was a 4 days conference on governance, then there was an earlier, it was an innovators meet. Each time when a proposal is made to hold a conference or a seminar, the first choice put for cross by everybody is Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Because once you trigger the button, the things start moving on the auto mode. We have a beautiful science city over here, we have beautiful convention hall over here, and Bansi is personified auto mode. He is always ready to organize a conference and we find it convenient to give him one. Having said that, the second part of it, of course, the diabetes in India, I vividly recall even that small meeting informal which Professor Sadiq had held in Mumbai when this idea of having an organization like this was proposed by him. And soon after that, I'm glad that he was there along with a few others in Jammu for a CME. And that's when, for the first time, he had some kind of untoward symptoms. And therefore, I think I'm glad that Sabu and others have kept the legacy alive for all that Dr. Sadiq stood for. And this is generation of medical researchers and academicians who have carried forward the movement of diabetes in India. When Dr. Bist was referring to Samad Shera, I recall the kind of passion that the generation had, because way back, I think it was early 90s, there was a conference in Karachi, and I was denied a visa because of the terrorism going on at that time. And he intervened from there, called up the Pakistan embassy in Delhi, facilitate all those papers for us. So I think there's been a lot of passion behind this journey. That's what has enabled us to be where we are today. Now, Dr. Peter was apologizing on the stage and then also privately. He said, I apologize to you for having citing you everywhere. I said, no, thanks for making me famous everywhere. But having said that, the other part of it is that there is a scientific logic in carrying diabetes and also the medical science, the life sciences into space. And you would be glad to know that I had suggested, and I'm glad my suggestion was taken quite positively by the other colleagues. Only about 2 months back, we actually entered into a formal MOU between the Department of Space and the Department of Biotechnology, because now there's a new upcoming area called space biology, about how the astronauts behave, what is the physiology like, and particularly when the space missions involve stay over there for a longer while. We have the space stations there, we have the missions which are being extended beyond their stipulated time, carry on their missions. And you would be glad that in the latest mission called SPEDX, we have even experimented growing some vegetables, seedlings in the space milieu, having studied that. So there is relevance. In fact, as he was rightly mentioning, we are into an era of integration. And that also, I think, calls for an extended integration. And as he said, the government has to be brought closer. I think it's both ways around, that the era of working in silos is over. Demarcation between the private and the public sector has to be done away with if we are actually envisaging, if we are actually to accomplish the kind of destination that we envisage for ourselves, that Century India 2047. Because most of the countries who have gone beyond have gone because they have not depended purely or exclusively either on the public sector or on the private sector. So they have come up because of a very healthy and compatible synergy. And I think, again, the best examples are what we have experimented in the 4 or 5 years, which have turned out to be huge success stories. For example, in the space sector itself, we were working behind a wheel of secrecy. So for what reason? Once we put it across to the Prime Minister, he allowed us to open to the private sector. Within 5 years, there's a quantum leap now. We had just 1-digit startup, now we have about 300 startups. Our space economy was minuscule, today it is $8 billion US, and in next 6-7 years, we hope to go up by almost 5 times or more, about $44 billion US. So, and that's happened because we no longer now depend on the government resources. The government could be a facilitator. And of course, there have been times, to add to what Peter was saying, when there was a huge amount of skepticism between the private sector and the public sector, even in the medical profession. The government institute doctors looked at the private practitioners as fleecers. And the private practitioners looked at the government sector doctors as bribe mongers who would take fee at home and carry out the operation in the government operation theatre. But I think that is now gone. You have to synergize both. I was citing the other day example. Suppose you ride a bus. The devil also sits there. The saint also sits there. You have no choice to decide who's going to be the passenger next to you. But when the bus breaks down, then everybody gets down to give it a push. The devil and the saint together. Because then the main goal, the common goal is to reach the destination. If we have to reach that global parameters, we have to follow global strategy. Now, coming back to Sabu and Gujarat and Diabetes India. I know how many of us in this room know, because Sabu has, of course, said that war against diabetes going to be begun from the city of Ahmedabad with the Ahmedabad Declaration, as he mentioned. But this place has been conventionally known to be accomplished in troubleshooting the disasters. And what is a lesser known fact is the first ever disaster management authority in India was set up in Gujarat. And that happened immediately after the earthquake of Kutch and Bhuj, when Mr. Narendra Modi was the chief minister here. So he was the first one who set up the Gujarat Disaster Management Authority. And inspired by that, National Disaster Management Authority was set up about 3 years later. So I think you have heralded this war against diabetes, or the disaster possible accruing from diabetes. This is going to be emulated by other regions of the country and abroad as well. So you have a good success story to follow, and you are emulating the one. Now, speaker after speaker have been talking about the magnitude of the diabetes in India. I don't need to reiterate the 101 million and 136 million being pre-diabetics. But what is also equally important is that now there's a breakdown. There's like a paper we did on the JAPI, I think about 15 years back, the breakdown in the rural-urban divide. And that is not only in case of diabetes, because it's happened both culturally, socially, economically. So with the aspirational society on the rise, you share the common culture, common lifestyle, and also common diseases. And I think now somebody was also referring to, Dr. Helena was referring to obesity. So we also have our own, we are beset with our own set of problems, namely the central obesity, which is almost as common in both males and females in India, and which is possibly, as all of us know, is the independent risk factor, regardless of the general obesity. So, in order to overcome this, or order to meet this challenge, I think what is important is to again have a very synergized approach. And because when we talk of preventing diabetes, it's not only, I think it's too serious a problem to be left to a diabetologist alone or an endocrinologist. It virtually amounts to a national problem. Because when you're talking of Viksit Bharat, you're talking of 2047 Bharat, and then at the same time you're talking of increasing prevalence of diabetes below the age of 40. Let's not forget that the 70% of Indian population is below the age of 40. So if you not, and then you're talking CKD and other things. So can we afford this vibrant energy to be squandered away at the altar of all these issues, which otherwise would be utilized in the making of New India? So it's become almost a national responsibility. That's where all these stakeholders have to be brought together. And also because very soon, when I say the synergy, there's an increasing, I have started holding joint meetings of all these science streams. And that widens our horizon. Because what is not very often occurring to us is that the next industrial revolution is going to be bioeconomy driven. Like the last one in the 90s, which was IT driven. And we are talking of having reached fifth economy from the fragile 5 and then reaching 4 and then 3 and then number 1. What is also true at the same time is that the entire economy in the next few years is going to witness a paradigm shift from manufacturing to recycling processes. We already have in Bangalore a startup who started producing animal-free milk and started exporting it. Those group of boys have made a fortune out of this. So we are now entering into a different kind of era altogether. But of course, the technology is taking over, AI has taken over, the genes taking over. I'm glad to share that only last month we had an article in New England Journal of Medicine. We have successfully carried out the first ever gene therapy trial in hemophilia. And the technology was provided by us, and the clinical trial was carried out in CMC Vellore. And we could, in the first phase, develop factor 8 up to 70%, 67%. So the strategies are also going to change, and our approach also going to change. So I think the more, and we have the advantage of having a strong legacy even in the healthcare system, which can be very amicably or very optimally fused with the cutting edge technology. And I think nothing more than the COVID taught us the virtue of having that integrated approach. We're talking of the government and the private sector. Even in the middle of night, I would receive calls from some of our NRI friends who had settled there in US for decades together. They would make frantic calls in the middle of night. Is there a booster in homeopathy? Is there a booster? So when faced with the threat of death, they realized the virtues of the Oriental system of medicine. And now it's been acknowledged. So thanks to COVID, though I don't wish that should happen again and again, but every adversity is accompanied with a virtue. So I'm sure even this, when we talk that we have diabetes in plenty, plenty also sometimes brings in some advantage. It gives us the advantage of having the opportunity to develop our own best practices, which the rest of the world could also follow. And now you would be glad to know that this was the government which was the first to set up a separate department or separate ministry for Ayush. And within 10 years, the Ayush turnover has gone over from $8 billion US dollars to $24 billion US dollars. And their products are now being exported. I was in some of the Central Europe countries the other day, and the representatives from Himalaya came to meet me. I said, what the hell are you doing here? He said, oh, ours are some of the leading products over here, most notable being the Live 52, and so on and so forth. So I think how best to use that would also be, and without being contemptuous or skeptical. And Then the other part of it is we are now very much fancied by AI. So it sounds good, sounds romantic. When I said I prepared this AI driven, I sound more credible even if it has been, pilfered from somewhere else. But then the question I think very soon we would be asking ourselves, and I have done the experiments too in AI, and I tell you now, because I think there will be a cue for many of us to. Question then is that is the AI or the technology the ultimate answer? To my mind, the answer is both yes and no. And I'll give you two examples of this. One, of course, medical, the other non-medical, because I'm looking after multiple departments. So we developed a very vibrant grievance redressal system in the government. Earlier on, before 2014, the governments had a website for grievance. Nobody visited it, so people stopped even registering their grievance because they thought nobody would be attending to it. So I thought, no, that was not fair. So we developed an AI-driven mechanism, which has now become a success story globally, called CPgrams, Central Portal. We have said. So within 5 days, the grievance gets redressed, and the disposal is almost 100%. Then one day I told the secretary who's looking after the administrative reform, I said the disposal is 100%, but every complainant is going back with a long face. He said, what does that mean? I said, there's something like happiness index being discussed in the West. They're not happy even after the disposal because no two words in the English language mean the same. You have disposed of his complaint, but maybe his aspiration is still longing. And you would not believe in that artificial intelligence driven, successful mechanism. I got the intervention of human intelligence by setting up a human desk. We didn't have enough of accommodation in the capital city of Delhi, so we hired one place in Noida and set up some young boys and girls who would then, talk to each complainant. And similarly, I think mine was the only constituency in the country where we had a novel experiment of combining telemedicine with human intervention in a hybrid form. The doctor on wheels, we started moving a mobile clinic in the remotest villages of the country where people had not even seen the face of a doctor. So there would be a human doctor, a young boy, who would talk to the patient, take the history, then he would connect the patient to the tele-doctor, who would be sitting in the screen. Now, so she is so efficient that she talks in your mother tongue. If you speak Gujarati to her, she speaks better Gujarati than Sabu. So many, those villages, they used to get so much excited seeing that. So there were two of them simultaneously taking the history. And then the two would connect them to a super specialist because we are tied up with a couple of hospitals, one of them in Ahmedabad, one in Bangalore, one in Hyderabad. So, and then at the same time, they were supported by 2 or 3 technicians and proved to be so successful. Of course, that's a very costly affair. Each phase of, providing that service to, we used to have clusters of villages, 30, 40, 50 villages, and that would cost about 50, 60 lakh. But it's a very lucrative health startup avenue as well. They were all startups, but of course we were doing it out of philanthropy. So what I'm trying to say is that our strategies will soon undergo a change, and therefore I don't think what we think today is going to be as much relevant tomorrow as we are thinking today, because we tend to look at, even when we talk of 2047, we look at 2047 through the prism of 2025. And I think as good researchers, we would know we have a retrospective, we have a prospective. So the best way is to look back 25 years. 25 years back from today, what was new in 1999 or 2020? Can you recall? It was that video VCR. So every dowry monger would ask for a VCR. Now you try giving one, they'll throw it out of the first window. And outside the politicians' houses, there would be queues of these कार्यकर्तास workers lined up कि साहब एक STD का booth दिलवा दीजिए, बच्चे की जिंदगी बन जाएगी. By the time बच्चा grew up, STD booth was closed. So what I'm trying to say is that It's very difficult to foresee what it is, but we are now in a mindset where we have done the esteem. The world has started acknowledging us, and therefore we can have our own way. We are in a position where we are giving leads. And of course, then we're talking of the metabolic disorders and the lifestyle problems and the fatty liver, etc. happening. So I think ultimately what would be required by all of us is to synergize our efforts, and a huge, huge caution against a new genre of self-styled counselors. In Delhi, you have a variety of diet charts floating in the market today. And the name of each diet chart is so fancy that that attracts the consumer. And they pay thousands for it. For example, I have some of gentlemen around who are into what is that called intermittent eating. Intermittent fasting or intermittent eating, put it either way. So at 5 o'clock they said, no, now it's time for us. So it becomes a big, event. 5 o'clock, oh, so you take only once. And once or twice I sat with them. I was actually sharing this with Mohan also the other day. I found them consuming 3 thalis full of rice. I said, you're taking 5 days meal, which a normal person would take, is being consumed by you in a single. So I think that is another, because more than information, it is the disinformation in this country which plays a havoc. And that has been happening right from the beginning. Only the modes of disinformation have changed. When we began practicing, such kind of disinformation was being handed out by some lesser educated quacks. Now it's by English-speaking, wiser ones who sound very attractive and very influential. Earlier it was by way of, reading out mantras. Now they put on the laptop and, try to impress you with all kinds of graphs, and you think that is the final truth. So, because that's now ingrained in our culture. And unfortunately, you don't have any regulation for them. You can ask a graduate doctor to, update himself, herself, or get a license renewed after 5 years, or registration renewed, but there's no registration for them because they are not registered and still recognized. And in one of the suburbs in Delhi, there was an attempt to shut down once. We lodged some kind of a complaint. We said, this is all nonsense going on. So they actually shut down that outlet of that gentleman. And there was such a huge protest. Everybody around me said that this will cost us politically. So let them carry on what they do, at least, because the politician also has to look after the next election, while the diabetologist is talking about next generation. So how best we actually learn from each other and also unlearn from each other is going to be the challenge in the times to come. But nevertheless, I'm glad Bansi Sabu with his team has made this beautiful attempt. And as I said, the disaster management always has begun from Gujarat. You are following the legacy of none less than Modi.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I will invite Dr. Sanjeev Pathak to propose the vote of thanks.
Just 5 more minutes, and good afternoon, everyone. An important announcement before I begin my vote of thanks, that we are going to delay these sessions by half an hour, so the sessions will start at 2:30 instead of 2 now. Well, respected dignitaries on and off the dais, esteemed national as well as the international faculties, dear friends, colleagues from the medical as well as from the pharmaceutical field, and our media friends as well. I am deeply honored to extend the vote of thanks on behalf of Diabetes India 2025. First and foremost, I express my gratitude to the Almighty for bringing us all together, giving us an excellent atmosphere on this special occasion, which also coincides with the Valentine Day, a day symbolizing care and compassion, much like our shared mission in diabetes care, as Peter Schwartz told. We sincerely thank Diabetes India President S.R. Arvind, Sanjay Reddy, Trustee Anup Mishra for giving Ahmedabad an opportunity to host this important prestigious meeting here. A very special thanks to Dr. Jitendra Singh, who despite his numerous commitments, took the time to be with us today. We know his passion as a diabetologist and his strong association with Bansi, Shashank, and many others here has made this possible for us, making the event even more memorable and significant. We are truly honored by the presence of our guest of honor, Peter Schwartz, the IDF president, and Helena Tedes, the president of International Society of Endocrinology, who have graciously accepted our invitation and enriched this occasion by showering their blessings for this conference. We are also privileged to have with us the experts from DASG, DESG, EASD, SHF, IAS, and PESG, and all the international faculties who have traveled all the way from their country to our country to be with us for this important academic fiesta. I would also like to thank the IDF SEA chair, A.K. Azad Khan, for coming all the way and gracing us on this occasion. Our heartfelt thanks to the program chairman Padma Shri, Dr. Shashank Joshi, organizing chair Dr. Manoj Chawla, scientific secretary Dr. Amit, joint organizing secretary Dr. Abhay Sahu, for their meticulous efforts in curating the scientific content of this program and helping us execute it so effectively. I would also like to extend my sincere appreciation to Dr. Rakesh Parikh for the Ahmedabad declaration. Rakesh Parikh could not join. He'll be here soon. As well as Dr. Professor V. Mohan, Sir A.K. Das, Dr. Yagnik Sir, Dr. Jyoti Dev, Dr. Rajiv, Dr. Sujoy, Dr. Makkar, Dr. Arvind Gupta, Dr. Sunil Gupta, Dr. Kamlakar Tripathi, Dr. Jayant Panda, all very important dignitaries, Dr. Anuj Maheshwari, for their invaluable presence as well as guidance. A big thank you to our National Scientific Committee as well as the local organizing committee members like Dr. Urmandru, Dr. Vipul, Dr. Dhruvi, Dr. Rutul, Dr. Dharmendra, Padmanabh, Rikin. Your efforts have been the backbone for this event. While time does not permit me to mention each of you by name, please know that your contributions are immensely appreciated by everyone. My heartfelt gratitude also goes to all the faculty members who have taken time from their busy schedules to share their expertise and wisdom with us today. Our sincere thanks and love on this Valentine's Day to our delegates, because without the delegates, it is not possible to hold successfully any event and to make it meaningful. So we deeply value the support of our delegates. We also acknowledge with gratitude the generous support from the pharmaceutical industry, not only for their financial contributions, but also for the manpower and the strength they provide for successful execution of any program, including this. And many others who are here who have played a very crucial role in making this event possible. I must acknowledge the support of Neelam and Hardik Chandarana along with the RX event team. Where is Neelam and Hardik? A big round of applause for them who have expertly managed all the details and ensured smooth execution of this program. A big thanks to the Forum Convention Center for all their support, our IT team, the support staff, our media colleagues, without whom this would have been extremely difficult to manage this grand show. Finally, on a personal note, I express my deepest gratitude to my wife, Sanu, who is here, my daughters and my son-in-law for their constant love, patience and their support. You would be wondering that I have not yet mentioned the name of the most important person behind this conference, and for that matter, any conference occurring anywhere in India. Not only for conference, but any guidelines, any advocacy in the field of diabetes. A very special thanks and lots of love from all of us present here to my dearest friend and younger brother, Dr. Banshi Sabu, whose boundless energy and dedication, Shashank always tells nucleus energy. It is not only nuclear, it is superkinetic, supermagnetic energy which Bansi possesses. And without him, this conference or any conference would not have been possible. I think he deserves, along with all others in the dignitaries, a standing ovation. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for making this a grand success. Sincere apologies if I have missed any of the names accidentally. It has been totally unintentional. Jai Hind, and please remain standing for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
So dear friends, sessions will resume again at 2:30 p.m. So please have a quick lunch and then we reassemble for the sessions. Thank you.